parade throughout Los Angeles today. There's also a special ticketed celebration at Dodger Stadium. The parade's scheduled to start at 11 a.m. at Gloria Molina Grand Park on Spring Street in front of City Hall. It'll continue on a 45-minute route from 1st Street to Grand Ave, then to 5th Street, and culminates at the intersection of 5th and Flower. Members of the Dodgers will travel atop double-decker buses. Significant street closures and limited public parking means that public transport will be the best way around. The celebration at Dodger Stadium starts at 12:15. Parking gates open at 8:30. Stadium gates open at 9. Dodgers skipper Dave Roberts on the series win.
Certainly a lot of emotions from the way it started to certainly the way it finished, and I'm just so grateful to be in this chair.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Get sports gaming strategies and information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everything you need to get the winning edge right here. No wonder the wife says you need to spend more time with the kids. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, let's not know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, SiriusXM Channel 159.
The best hour of your day officially underway. It is a Football Friday. This is SiriusXM Channel 159, SportsGrid Radio. It's time for Moneyline. I'm Donnie Rightside, at least for this segment. I'll be on a solo mission, segment number 2. The big man on campus, Jeff Nadeau, is going to join us and get down, and we'll go over that Sunday Pro Football card, that Saturday college football card, anything on the docket tonight. Big man on campus is a Yankees fan. We'll see what his thoughts were on the ending of the World Series and that putrid inning that should have ended 5-0 Yankees, ended 5-5 Yankees, and you saw the end of it. It was a wrap. The World Series goes to the Los Angeles Dodgers. But your boy Donnie Rightside's got a lot of topics to get into, guys. And if you weren't watching yesterday, what were you doing? I'm telling you all week. Through tweets, through shows, through radio, through videos. The New York Jets were going to beat the Houston Texans last night. Yes, unbelievable. A 2-6 football team beat a 6-2 football team. Lesson learned for the people out there. And I always say this. It doesn't always go in the right direction. But you saw case in point 2 straight weeks. The better team on a Thursday night, long travel distances, getting beat. The Rams handled their business last Thursday night. This week, the Jets handled it. And I was asked multiple times, Donnie, what do you think about the New York Jets season moving forward? You know what I say? There's still Ugats up there for the New York Jets. They don't have anything. They're not running the table. They'll win a few games because they're talented. But they didn't play a great football game yesterday by any means. They didn't even score a touchdown in the first half. Why? Because you have stupid players like Corley dropping the football after an 18-yard easy walk-in touchdown at the 1-yard line, only for that ball to roll right through to the back of the end zone, and it was a touchback. But I had the Jets yesterday, -2. Cha-ching. I hit just about everything except if I just got a little toe drag swag out of Dalton Schultz. Schultz, 3 catches, 21 yards. I needed 25 yards. And if you watch that final drive, an absolute laser beam by C.J. Stroud to the sideline, where he just couldn't get that second toe in. That would have been absolutely tremendous. But still, we cashed yesterday. It was fun. It was profitable. But once again, the questions came up. How could the Jets beat the Houston Texans? Once again, one of the hardest things to overcome in sports is playing a road Thursday night football game in the NFL after the first couple weeks when you're worn down, and especially the travel situations. And I brought it up yesterday with Kevin, and I'll say it again. If it's Washington, Baltimore, Washington, Philadelphia, Washington, New York, you get the gist of it, right? Close contacts here. If Buffalo had played, let's just say, Cleveland, or let's just say the Detroit Lions played the Cleveland Browns on a Thursday night, those are easier travel conditions. But when you're going from Houston up to New York on a short work week, that's a pretty decent-sized flight. When you're going from Minnesota out to Los Angeles, like you saw last week, that's a pretty decent flight. And also, the Houston Texans were extremely banged up, particularly at the wide receiver position. So if you look at Stroud's numbers yesterday, 11 of 30, 191 yards, passer rating of 59, QBR rating of 27.7, and he was sacked 8 times in that football game. Can't have that. The Texans will be fine. The Texans will win that division. But again, some of those layers on not the actual numbers or the record that you see sometimes in the NFL. You have to play into some of those narratives. And all week long, I was tweeting it out and telling you the Jets were going to win that football game, even though they looked horrendous in that first half. The Texans evened out that horrendousness in the second half. How about a short missed field goal yesterday? Finally, the Jets get a break on field goals. Usually it's them missing the field goals, right? Not yesterday. Jets did what they had to do, improve the 3-6. But once again, I'm going to preface this and say the Jets are going nowhere, absolutely nowhere in 2024. That was a bad football team they beat last night in a tough position. And I said the Texans will be fine. But last night, that was a team that you wanted to fade absolutely. Look at the wide receiver position, guys. Coming into the game, you don't have your top guys. Stephon Diggs is down for the year. That's going to be a problem. They're going to have to go out in the free agent market. If there is an undrafted free agent / Hunter Renfrow, which he's probably not coming back to the NFL, but more or less before Tuesday's trade deadline, they're going to have to make an acquisition there. Tank Dell was great last night. 6 catches, $126, average 21 yards per catch, and had that long catch of 50 on 9 targets. That's great. Robert Woods, 2 catches for 44 yards. That's okay. The rest of the wide receivers, nothing. The tight ends, 3 catches by Schultz. Nobody else chipped in. Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, basically invisible out there to the eye. They're going to have to improve that. And also, hopefully get some good news there and you're not out too long for your superstar defensive end, Will Anderson Jr., who got banged up in that game. But the Jets showed some of the things that they should have been doing all season long. And to be honest, we'll go over that New York Jets schedule right now once again and see where some of those games where I don't say they went wrong, but they just didn't make enough plays to actually win. Now, as I try to click on the Jets season, it's just giving me a blank screen here on there we go. Desktop finally working. Thank you. They lose to the 49ers. I always like to remove that game for the Jets out of the equation. Titans, Patriots, Broncos, Vikings, Bills, Steelers, Patriots, and Texans after that. They beat a bad Titans team. That's fine. They beat a bad Patriots team. That's fine. Hey, they turned the corner. They got their season underway. They're 2-1. They can't make a field goal, and you get terrible quarterback play out of your starting quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, in that loss 10-9 to the Broncos. The Broncos, I believe that was the game that Bo Nix threw for 60 yards and still beat Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that game. The Vikings, Aaron Rodgers was horrendous, throwing pick six, multiple interceptions, chances to win that game. They couldn't pull that out. You go up against the Buffalo Bills. Once again, Greg Zuerlein is terrible. You lose that game 23-20. So you should have picked up some wins along the way. Buffalo Bills game, just talked about that. The Steelers game, you had that lead in the first half, let it slip away and got embarrassed. The Patriots game, you had a lead just about all the way through that game. You let that one get away. And finally, they picked up a win against the Texans. So many are saying like, oh, you know what? And rightfully so. There's 7 chances to get into the playoffs in the NFC and the AFC through the wild card. They're technically still in it. But even though you watched that football game yesterday, and this is coming from me, who had the Jets and told you they would win, but was asked repeatedly what you thought about the Jets. If they picked that win, could there be momentum? No, there's not. The Jets just aren't good enough to have momentum. I understand Devontae Adams showed up last night, touchdown. Garrett Wilson was tremendous. We expect that here. But the rest of that team doesn't work all that well. You can still gash the Jets on the ground. You can still force the Jets into making mistakes. You can still bury Aaron Rodgers in that pocket. He's not all that mobile anymore. And quite frankly, one of the things that we loved about Aaron Rodgers over the years, now he's still going to make great throw after great throw at times. But you saw the first play of the game, a game-changing play. Devontae Adams smokes the cornerback off the line of scrimmage. Should have been maybe even a 65, 70-yard play, if not a 70-plus yard touchdown pass. He missed that play. There were plenty of plays last night that Aaron Rodgers left on the table, but they were still good enough to win. Why? Because the circumstance was easy for the Jets last night. Home game, healthy football team, facing off against a team on the road on a Thursday night that was injured. But they have the Cardinals coming up next. They'll be favored. They probably should win that game. The Colts with Joe Flacco probably still should win that football game. The Seahawks at home probably still should win that football game. So, oh, look at that, Donnie. They are 6-6 right now, right in the heat of the playoff race. But haven't we learned our lesson already? Through the 5 straight losses that they had, Broncos, Vikings, Bills, Steelers, and Patriots, that there are going to be games, there are going to be moments that you say, yep, that's why the Jets stink. So today, I had the Jets yesterday. I'm not buying a damn thing with the New York Jets at this point right now. I don't want anything to do with the New York Jets. Now, on a week-to-week basis, do you see some spots that you could bet? Do you see some prop bets that you would like here at the wide receiver position, the running back position, and also the quarterback position for the Jets? Sure. Hassan Reddick looked better last night, had a missed sack early in the game, made up for that later by getting another sack. There are some things to like about the Jets, but the one thing your boy Donnie Rightside doesn't like moving forward, come on now. We don't trust the Jets. Jets, Jets. Profitable for your boy last night? Not so profitable, I don't think, for the rest of the season. Much more to talk about. It's a Football Friday right here on the Sports Grid Network. I'm Donnie Rightside, the big man on campus. Coming up next.
It's a choice. Roll the dice or listen to us. Luck is finding a good parking spot. Strategy is getting the winning edge. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Dozens of striking San Francisco hotel workers were arrested as hundreds demonstrated for higher wages and better benefits 2 months after their contract expired. With the Sports Grid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. The arrests came Wednesday around 5 p.m. as union members sat in the middle of a busy street following a march that began near the Hilton Union Square, the city's largest hotel. Demonstrators wore red t-shirts and chanted "No contract, no peace" while blasting air horns. This week, federal officials reported more cases of E. coli poisoning among people who ate at McDonald's as government investigators seeking the outbreak's source identified an onion grower of interest in Washington state. The FDA said 90 people across 13 states have fallen ill in the outbreak, up from 75 at the end of last week. The number of people hospitalized increased by 5 to 27 people. 1 death has been tied to the outbreak. I'm Trey Westerberg with the Sports Grid News Flash.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
Here's some brutal truth. You can listen to Sports Grid for strategies, odds, and more and live the good life. Or you can dig out the change from your sofa cushions. Ooh, sticky. We told you it was brutal. This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Let's go get him, shots.
Oh, feeling good. Feeling really good here in these streets. Profitable yesterday, profitable this week. Good times. I am so looking forward to this week in NFL action. Chat box out here fired up as well. I can't wait to get it started. And I need the people to help me out on this one. Jeff Nadeau is going to join us in just a few moments here. We got a lot of hot topics going on right now. Save Jeff Nadeau. Twitter X account seemingly stolen right out from under him within, the last 30 minutes to an hour, maybe? Or maybe you found out this morning. Tough scene, man. Jeff's one of the best followers on Twitter. Always a lot going on there, which includes great basketball talk coming up. Did you know college basketball starts next week? I believe it's Monday. We got to get the big man on campus in here to let us know what the deal is. Also, Jeff loves his college football. We're going to hit some of the bigger games tomorrow, which includes a noon kickoff, which I love, between Penn State and Ohio State. Stop making these night games. Make them early in the day. Your boy loves it. He can watch it. He can enjoy it. He can eat his one meal of the day while he watches it. That's excitement here, but also the NFL card. Other hot topics, by the way, across the landscape. I know we were getting back to that Jets game last night, which, again, cash some tickets in here. Toe drag swag away from a 6-0 perfect night for me. It's okay. I made money. It was fantastic. Touchdown props. You name it. You guessed it. We nailed it. Now, flip it over to that great catch for, by the way, Garrett Wilson yesterday. Fantastic. If you don't like his first catch of the game, which goes unnoticed, that third down play, as a wide receiver going in on a slant route and having the ball thrown to your outside shoulder, like back to the sideline, and making that catch was fantastic. Loved it. Extended a drive. His catch on his first touchdown, sticks that one hand out there, knocks it down, jukes a guy about on the 3-yard line, walks in for a touchdown. And then you saw that absolutely amazing acrobatic play on 3rd and 19 that turns into an incomplete pass into a touchdown because the shin was down, people. Absolutely. The man is a star. They didn't need Devontae. But how about Devontae coming back? If you guys were following me at Rightside VP on Twitter/X, we're live during the game. We do it every Monday night, every Thursday night. We watch the primetime games there on Pro Football In-Game Live. It's awesome. It's so much fun. We enjoy it. We bet the entire way through. We have some fun. We crack jokes. We watch the game. We talk other topics. It's great stuff. And if you're watching last night, you know me. I put a ton of tickets out on Twitter. I really do. A ton of tickets. And because I like to share it with the people so they know that I'm invested, right? And I know you guys watching out there and listening understand that. It's important because, and we're not knocking anybody in the industry. Some people just don't like to share their information, and that's fine. But I always get a feel like you listen to me on the radio. You watch me on TV. You might see me around there on Twitter. Like, I like to have hot topics and absolutely back it up with money. Like, if I told you I was going to bet the Jets this weekend, and I don't bet like a, $1,000, $2,000 a game, anywhere between $25 to $250 typically. Round robins, all that stuff. You know me, but I love to post tickets because I feel like if I give my information out, I want to be invested in it, and I want you to know that I'm invested in it. So even like the small stuff at the half, it was like a plus 360, plus 280. It's like, you know what? No touchdowns on the board just yet for the New York Jets. But I'm getting unbelievable prices that if you do throw a touchdown pass in the second half, one of these two guys, which was Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, were going to catch it. Right away, you get the touchdown from Garrett Wilson, which was awesome. Catches in that 360, which made those two bets already profitable off the bat. It's like a $25 bet, paid back $115. It was awesome. And I was like, oh, no, looks like Devontae's going to get a concussion, not coming back in the game. He scores late, so we get that double banger. But it's always nice to see, like, when you tweet it out and you put it out there in the streets, like, people follow along, can enjoy it, can see what you have. And, yes, you can fade it, you can bet it. But I always like that because if you're just out there not putting tickets out, like, I told you they would win this stuff, that's one thing. But I just like to be invested with the people to have some fun with them here. And you know my past at this point. Like, I've been around the mean streets of Twitter, gambling Twitter, websites, which I still do have an active one right now, but obviously not with pick packages because I just enjoy what I do right now. I'm in such a good spot in my life where I can share the content with you guys online, and I can also just give it out. We can all root it together. Now, maybe there's a time down the road where things need to change, but right now, we're having great stuff here. It's a lot of fun, and I see like Mammoths out there. It's like, yeah, big time for posting tickets. I love that. And also, you know what I love on my Twitter feed even more, guys? When you guys post your winning tickets along with me, I love that. Even if it's not like my game or I gave that information out, which I know a lot of people show the love, like, hey, Donnie, back to you. Here's my ticket. I love to see that. But just show me what you got. Like last night, if you had the under, or if you had, Breece Hall, or if you had Mixon to go over a certain amount there. I love sharing information because the one thing you know about me, and if you've ever reached out to me in the past, I try to answer or at least like every single thing that people send back to me. Donnie, what do you think about this? I love to get back. I get DMs in there just from random people. Hey, I'm thinking about a touchdown prop here. Or I'm thinking about a play here. What do you think? I love the information because that's what we're in the business for. If we didn't have a social media-esque show, which, again, you can watch live right now, SportsGrid on demand on the YouTube channel. You can reach out in the chat box. You can have fun. You can at me on Twitter, at RightSideVP. You can at the SportsGrid accounts here. Like, we love answering information, getting back to you. Same thing when we do on the early line, right? Every day, to start the third hour, we have the Fade the Public poll where we ask the public, what would you like to do here? And then we try to line it up. And didn't yesterday, I said it was the best Fade the Public poll we've ever had because everybody was on the Texans, which made me love my Jets pick even more. But being an interactive show and having a lot of fun, that's what this is all about. So once again, there's so many ways to listen to us. SportsGridRadio.com, SportsGrid.com, on the SportsGrid app. You can go to SiriusXM channel 159. You can now go to SportsGrid On Demand on YouTube and watch the radio shows live and participate and go back and forth. It's awesome stuff here. It's awesome. Steve's in there. Mammoth's in there. You know I'm in there. Anytime on a Football Friday, it's special. Now, Jeff Nade, who's supposed to be joining us shortly here, doesn't have the information just yet to sign in. So, JP, if you can try to check on that once again, for Jeff Nadu, if you're listening there, try to get him in here because I know the people love that. We want to share it. We want to have some fun and get back to it. But it is a Football Friday, and we are trying to cash tickets out here. And this is what the fun of it is. Now, also, like my day-to-day scape, because you guys know, Mondays, man, I'm buried. Thursdays, I'm buried, which means I'm waking up 5:30 in the morning, doing 3 hours of TV, followed by an hour of radio, followed by videos in the afternoon, followed by an hour and a half drive into a studio, followed by being at the studio for 5 to 6 hours, followed by an hour and a half drive home. Like my days start at basically 5:30 on Mondays and Thursdays, and I drive into my driveway around 1:15 a.m. on those days. But that's football season. Like, we can't complain being in the content business. Like, oh, man, I work really hard doing football. We love football season. It's what we do. Now, we got a long way to go in this show, a great hour, action-packed. Let's get down to some football action. Saturday, NCAA, NFL Sunday. Let's pick some winners. Let's have some fun. Let's share that information. We'll be right back.
Back to life, back to life. Hands up. Yes, suddenly we all got our hands up.
Get the SportsGrid mobile app. Take us to places where the wife would definitely not approve. Not counting the bank. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1968, and Denny will be going for win number 30.
1968, Denny McClain is named the unanimous AL Cy Young Award winner after finishing 31-6 for the world champion Tigers. McClain is the last pitcher to win 30 games in Major League Baseball.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Researchers at the University of Science and Technology of China have developed a soft robotic medical finger that can be used clinically to check your pulse, perform examinations, and even check for abnormalities under the skin. This robotic finger can even type like a human hand, spelling out words.
Goosebumps.
The goal? An intelligent, dexterous hand attached to a sensorized, artificial, pneumatic, muscle-driven robotic arm, mimicking the unparalleled functions and fine manipulations currently only possible with actual human hands. Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage tonight.
Brian Gable just screwed me because I got the Giants +7, and I was like, oh, this is great. All right, well, you know what? I can hit the teaser and get a push on my 7. I would have been happy with the teaser split. Instead, Cam, he decides to go for 2 because he's a moron. He's not the only one that does that. It's always losing crap-ass teams that think like that.
It's Sports Rage Tonight with Gabe Morency. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Don't be that guy. You know the kind. They're superstitious, carry good luck charms, and have extravagant rituals to win. There's an easier way. Listen to us. It means carrying 4-leaf clovers everywhere. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Oh, we got a lot to get to, people. The man, the myth, the legend, he is here with us. Maybe the most anticipated Football Friday that we have. It's a great weekend on Sunday. It's a couple big games on Saturday. Let's welcome in the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. And Jeff, got the text early today. I hit the retweet, save Jeff Nadu. It's like, before we even get down to business on anything, you're one of the more unique follows on social media, whatever account it is. But when you search for Jeff Nadu this morning, Jeff, can't come up. When did we find this out? What actually happened here, man?
I don't know. I went on Twitter. I was locked out in the morning this morning. They sent me an email saying that I had to change something. I changed it, and now my account's gone. So I guess it was not them. I mean, it said it was an ex.
No.
So
really?
I guess that's it. I've been on Twitter since 2009, man.
Yes.
2009.
We were having a good time because, like me and Jeff go back a long ways. But Kevin Walsh is on the set with me, Joe Lisi. We all follow Jeff, and we all have Twitter up the entire night. And I was talking to Jeff yesterday, like going back and forth. Jeff and I think the same way. You guys know this. NFL games, Jeff just sends me Jets in the morning. I return it like maybe the game of the year. Like perfect situation scenario. And we were watching the tweets all night long, and I got that this morning, like, oh, no, it's gone at this point. So I didn't quite figure out how it was. It's almost like one of those phishing schemes they do all the time where it looks so official, like what they send you. Now, when you woke up and saw that, before you actually hit that link, could you get into Twitter, or you weren't even paying attention? Like you just saw it come through on like an email or a text?
No, I got an email. It was an X account. I did what I was told and clicked it. I mean, no other simpler than that. But this just really starts the journey of getting off all this stuff. I mean,
You've been saying it for years. You've been saying it for years. Maybe it's one of those kickoff points, but like stunning stuff because I couldn't even find like your name. Like you type in Jeff Nadeau and then it comes up that weird X account, but it's all your tweets just under another name. But when you woke up, did you go to Twitter and see first, or you weren't even on Twitter and you just saw
I don't
that
even think I
text?
Yeah, I don't even think I did. I just went right on to the thing, and it was an X account at x.com. And
how could we get it back, though? Is there any way?
I mean, I tried sending in my information to the actual Twitter service, but probably not.
Tough scene all the way around, man. Oh, well, hopefully we get some good news. But before we get to football, Jeff, college basketball on the horizon. Oof.
Yeah.
When does it start, Jeff? Is it Monday, you said?
Monday, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have to, tread lightly a little bit. I mean, it's early, 20% of the students that were at schools last year are now at different schools. You have new coaches, you have all sorts of new things. So there is one constant, though, Donnie. Mississippi Valley State's the worst team in the country, and that hasn't changed. So, but other than that, tread lightly for a couple of weeks.
Hammering those guys. All right, now let's get down to business here. College football, big season in swing. I don't want to say, look, it's already it's November 1st today, which is so crazy to say, which we don't have many weeks left in the season. But we do have an interesting game tonight, Jeff. San Diego State and Boise State, roughly favored by 3 touchdowns, high total 56.5. Ashton Jeanty, 1,376 yards. He's playing tonight in this game. Any thoughts on SDSU and Boise State in this one?
I had the number about where it is. I think this is kind of just where you got to put Boise at this point. That said, I mean, you got to wonder, is this a little bit of a letdown game? It is back home, but that was a really big win the other night against UNLV. It was a close game. Obviously, UNLV played well, came right down to the wire. This is a game where you're just not going to have that much interest. And Boise has, next week against Nevada, that's a pretty big game for them. Nevada's a pretty decent program. San Diego State, look, it's not a vintage San Diego State. They're kind of totally different than we remember. Generally, they're very plodding, good defense. This year, they play really fast. They have one of the fastest tempos in the country. But generally, they always have a good defensive mindset. I think we've seen the book. You just stack the box against Jeanty and say, okay, beat us through the air, which they did, I guess, but Jeanty struggled for the most part. So I would lean San Diego State. To me, Donnie, I think there might be a better play just quickly. I like UConn tonight. I think this is a decent spot for the UConn Huskies, a group who is ball eligible with a win. They're at home. They've got a great defense up there in Stores. Georgia State's quarterbacks have struggled all season. UConn is playing really well right now, and that's a good little program under Jim Mora Jr.
Now, let me go over this with you, Jeff. Ashton Jeanty, running back in the Heisman race, to score an anytime touchdown tonight. Did you catch those numbers, Jeff, by any chance?
Yeah, it was quite high. I mean, keep in mind, he didn't score a touchdown. It was a close touchdown, too, until late in the game last time out. It's probably like minus 1,000.
Minus 3,000 tonight to score a touchdown. Outrageousness. Jeff Nadeau, the big man on campus. He's here. We'll tackle more college football next.
Attitude is everything. Don't say I lost today. Say I gained powerful insight into why I need to pay attention to SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. Thursday Night Football, the Jets rallied for a 21-13 win at home over the Texans. Houston led at 7-0 heading into the half. The Jets rallied back with a 14-3 fourth quarter. They improved to 3-6, 2-2 at home. The Texans dropped to 6-3 overall, 2-3 away from home. Aaron Rodgers, 3 touchdowns, 22 of 32 passing, 211 yards. C.J. Stroud sacked 8 times. The Texans quarterback hammered for a loss of 56 yards. He was 11 of 30 passing, 191 yards, no touchdowns. Joe Mixon rushed for Houston's only TD. The WNBA is expanding. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes would like to add a team to his portfolio.
It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, to try to get a WNBA team in Kansas City to this fan base.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
I love fall weather. The crisp air, the falling leaves, until someone in my family catches a chill outside. Luckily, Kohl's has deals on all things cozy. I got 20% off comfy layers and warm denim, $10 off because I spent over $50, and earned Kohl's cash. Now we're ready to bundle up and get back out there, thanks to Kohl's. Select styles. Offers end November 3rd. Some exclusions apply. See store or kohls.com for details.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
How many SportsGrid listeners does it take to change a light bulb? It takes 2. 1 to change the light bulb, and 1 to see if our mobile app can provide the same amount of light. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Right back at it. It's a Football Friday radio on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM channel 159. College football Saturday. Starting off, Jeff, big games across the board, maybe none bigger. That's going to settle some Big Ten action. And tomorrow, 12 noon on Fox, the big Fox game. Ohio State, Penn State, line down to 3 at most sides for Ohio State. That total sits at 46.5. Will Howard comes to town saying, Penn State passed me over out of high school. I am looking forward to this football game. Jeff, give me some details. What are we feeling, Ohio State and Penn State?
Yeah, I don't know about you, but whenever someone says that, it always means like they're not ready to play for whatever reason. So I don't worry too much about that. I thought this number, we hadn't seen any movement with it. It was 3.5. That was that.
Yeah.
It's a tough game. I lean Penn State, though. I think, to be fair, I think you can make a case at home. They're surely the better team. I think they have the better offensive and defensive lines. Got a great run game. I don't trust either coach, but to be fair, I thought Drew Aller, I think he's played really well this season overall. I mean, look, at times he's struggled. He's been injured, but he looks a lot better in that Andy Coltonicki offense. Either way, whether it's Preble or him, I trust their quarterback situation. Give me them at home. Again, not a game I'm going to wager on, but I would lean
Wild
Penn State.
Stuff. I'm excited to watch that game play out because I just want to see where James Franklin comes up in a big game. Can he finally win one? Because that would move the Penn State to 8-0 and 5-0 in the Big Ten, like in prime position to win the Big Ten, go to the championship game, and then head to the playoff.
Yeah, and Ryan Day is 2-9 against the spread in top 5 matchups. So this is a tough game for both. Something tells me though Penn State's going to get one sooner or later. I think they get one tomorrow.
By the way, 2 losses for Ohio State if they lose, Jeff. Elimination game for Ohio State? Like, are they done if they lose this game for the playoff?
I would think, yeah. I mean, the Big Ten obviously is better too this year. You can't fall back on certain things. It actually helps you this year because it's expanded. But yeah, I would think. I mean, you also look at Alabama; they're in kind of every game matters at this point. That game against LSU next week's probably an elimination game. So that's what you get now with this expanded playoff. You get these kind of hyped up elimination type games.
Yeah, no, agree. Duke, Miami tomorrow. I don't really have a feel on that one. Miami's favored by 21. They haven't really played anybody all season long, 54.5. Ole Miss, Arkansas, okay. But how about maybe a little Air Force Army, Jeff? 7-0 Army taking on 1-6 Air Force Army, favored by 22.5. And like normal, like bell curve, that's like 35.5 for any other football team. Can Army cover that big number against Air Force?
They can. Air Force, this is a bad Air Force team. I mean, they're one of the worst rush defenses in the country. Just can't move the football. I mean, they struggled against the Naval Academy earlier this season. This is a 12 o'clock game. Air Force's body clock, even though there are cadets, I mean, it's still going to be pretty weird playing at noon, being in Colorado Springs and going to the East Coast. I played Army first half. I think they come out with like gangbusters. They're off a bye. They've been up by 14 or more in 6 or 7 games this season. They've started really well. I will mention too, I played Duke. I thought 21 was high. Donnie, you're a Miami guy. I mean,
yes.
Who the hell has this team played?
Nobody.
I mean, seriously. I mean,
Nobody.
they and against step-up competition, I mean, they've won by 7 each time. I think Duke is kind of on the level of Cal. I think they're probably even a better defense. This Miami team is struggling on the defensive end. Malik Murphy's kind of found himself a little bit, the Duke quarterback. Duke's coach used to be at Miami. This just struck me high. I mean, Florida State, I thought for a while, hung in that game against Miami. I haven't thought that Miami's looked good really since that Virginia Tech game, and I don't even think they look good in that game. So I think this is too many points. I grabbed it. I could be totally wrong, and this could be 52-10, but I grabbed Duke here.
How about that? How about Oregon, Michigan, Jeff? 3:30 p.m. kickoff. They head to the Big House favored by 14.5 points. Just a mess at quarterback for Michigan at this point now. Any thoughts on Oregon going in there, Dylan Gabriel rolling through Michigan, or can Michigan slow this down? That's a 44.5 total right now.
So I talked to Ryan, Donnie, who's a big, and I talked to him on Sunday. I said, we were watching the Eagles. I said, what do you think about Michigan next week? He said, bet against them. Bet against them. I don't know how they move the ball in this game. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, their offense is just so poor. And Oregon is so good on both sides of the ball, particularly against the pass. Where do you go at quarterback? I mean, you've extenuated 3 or 4 quarterbacks at this point. Where do you go next?
One even
I'd have
retired.
no
Didn't the one kid retire last week?
Yeah.
Just gave it up.
Yeah.
My goodness, man. Florida, Georgia, Jeff. How we feeling? 3:30. World's largest outdoor cocktail party. Georgia by 2 touchdowns. The Florida Gators, actually a little bit better than I thought they would be entering into the season, sitting at 4-3 and 2-2 in the SEC. I don't know if they can beat Georgia, but can they hang within 2 tutties?
I think they can. I mean, they obviously look like a better team under DJ Lagway. I feel like Georgia kind of got their scare a couple of weeks ago against Kentucky. I don't know if they'll get one now, but as you alluded to, Florida is playing better. I'll tell you what, Florida's looked a lot better on defense too. I mean, they haven't allowed more than 20 points since September 21st. Over a month. They've looked really good on that end as well. They're playing hard. You got to give it to them. They're not a real talented team overall in this conference, but ball agility is important. They're not going to get it this week or next week, but they're on the highway to getting it, and they're playing better under Lagway. 16's about where I had it, so there's nothing for me there. I'd have to get like 22 to be involved, but Georgia, they're not a group I'm looking to bet against. Seems like they've kind of found themselves over the last couple of weeks, and they're off a bye.
How about if we go to the SEC, Jeff, here? Texas A&M and South Carolina. A&M, I don't know what to make of them. They were terrible in that game against LSU, put in the backup quarterback. He runs roughshod like he's Mike Vick. They're 7-1, 5-0 in the SEC. They're only favored by 3 points on the road against a South Carolina team. I didn't look at the betting numbers per se, Jeff, but I just look at that and say top 10 team on the road against a 4-3 team. What am I missing here? Am I missing anything, or do you have any options on this one?
Well, you look at the box score of that A&M game. Like, how did they win 38-23? I mean, they were outgained by a lot. I mean, LSU had 6 yards of play, but when you look at it, LSU had 3 interceptions. They were 0 for 2 on 4th down. And A&M, look, you force turnovers, you're going to win. And it shows you, Mike Elko made a comment that this program just has it now. And it was kind of a shot, I think, at other coaches there before him. It seems like you can just enter in whoever at quarterback and they'll be fine. They'll run the offense. They'll run the ball effectively. But this game screams South Carolina. It seems like a game where you kind of go on the road and stub your toe a little bit. We know it's going to be rocking down at Columbia.
Yep.
Can I bring myself to bet South Carolina? I don't know. I'm not sure I can. The whole world seems to be on A&M here. You're even seeing this move to 3.5. I think the under is probably the play. Two good defenses, two quarterbacks that I'm not running to back. I don't love South Carolina's quarterback at all. I think this is like 20 to 16 or something. I like the under.
What do you make of Clemson? Because the ACC seems like it's like Miami and Clemson who seem good. And then there's Pittsburgh, Jeff, that's sitting there at 7-0 and 3-0 in the ACC, taking on a good SMU team. Any thoughts on an 8 o'clock game at night? Because could one of those teams end up in the ACC championship game over Clemson and or Miami?
They could. To me, though, it seemed like SMU by double digits in this one. I think Pitt's kind of been living by the skin of their teeth for a while. I don't know if their quarterback's fully healthy. He went out with a pretty bad – it looked like a pretty bad fall against what was that, Syracuse over a week ago. They say he's healthy. Who really knows? That said, I mean, they didn't play that well against UNC, found a way. Didn't play well against Cal, found a way. Then they were gifted, Donnie, 3 pick sixes in the first half. I mean, you look at that box score. They had 217 yards and won 41-13. And that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
5 total interceptions for Kyle McCord. SMU's really good. They've got a great defensive line. Their quarterback, Kevin Jennings, has looked terrific. And they're at home. Something tells me they win like 33-21 or something. I think SMU silences Pitt, and Pitt gets their first loss.
How about that? The big man on campus, little college football talk. Let's swing it over to the NFL. Jeff and I were on the Jets last night, picked up a nice victory heading into the weekend. A full slate on deck. Some teams for real, some teams going to get upset, some good spots out there. He's the big man on campus. I'm Donnie Rightside. It's a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network with Moneyline. We'll be right back.
Yeah, it's getting cooler. Football weather is here. Stay tuned for all the latest odds, strategies, and info. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. The WNBA is expanding. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes would like to add a team to his portfolio.
It's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, to try to get a WNBA team in Kansas City to this fan base.
Thursday Night Football, the Jets rallied for a 21-13 win at home over the Texans. Houston led at 7-0 heading into the half. The Jets rally back with a 14-3 fourth quarter. They improved to 3-6, 2-2 at home. The Texans dropped to 6-3 overall, 2-3 away from home. Aaron Rodgers, 3 touchdowns. 22 of 32 passing, 211 yards. C.J. Stroud sacked 8 times. The Texans quarterback hammered for a loss of 56 yards. He was 11 of 30 passing, 191 yards, no touchdowns. Joe Mixon rushed for Houston's only TD. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Macy's Friends and Family is going on right now, and it's the best time to shop for all the gatherings and gifting ahead. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off the latest trends, new arrivals, and the best brands like Karl Lagerfeld Paris, Steve Madden, Hotel Collection, and more. And get 15% off beauty, too. Plus, get free shipping with any $25 purchase today at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
There once was a dude named Sid. He never won and felt disgusted. He got the winning edge, his friends would allege, all for just listening to SportsGrid. If Sid can do it, so can you. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
My guy Jeff Nadeau here with us on a Football Friday. Tuning in if you follow him on X and Twitter. You can't find him this morning. My guy was hacked. Save Nadeau, Jeff. Hit the hashtag Save Nadeau tweet out here. Hopefully Twitter can get back. I'm sure later in the day when people realize they can't find you, we're going to get a groundswell here going, Jeff. We need a flood. We need the flood X. We need to get this account back. We need to get it saved there. We don't want you. You don't want to start. Nobody wants to start over, Jeff. What do you have?
I'm
60
not
some
starting
odd
over,
thousand
so
followers? Like, we need to get this
62,
account back.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what's worse? Because you see it a lot of times, Jeff. How many times you get this? Like, you have your account, and like, I don't know, once a year somebody goes, "Hey, Jeff, remember me, so-and-so. They took my account, or I deleted my account. Can you give me a follow to build up this?" Like, nobody wants to do that. You want the original
No.
account back. And say, "Oh, Jeff's only been on Twitter for 3 weeks or 2 years." Like, we know you're one of the OGs out here. We got to save the account. Somehow we got to get a GoFundMe together or
I
something like
mean,
that. How can we
if
do
they
it?
save it, they save it, but I'm not starting nothing new, so.
Yeah, come on, man. We got to get this back. Unbelievable stuff. All right, Jeff, Sunday NFL action. But let's talk about yesterday, because I know you. You like the Jets. Explain to the people again where they, because they were doing it to me yesterday, even on set. How can you like the Jets in this spot, Jeff? And what was your example yesterday that you were telling people that I'm sure were telling you can't back the Jets?
Well, I feel like I have amnesia with these games because it's the same thing week after week, and you people still keep falling for the same thing. When will you folks understand who is playing doesn't matter? None of that matters. The
Correct.
number tells you all you need to know. A 2-6 team is favored against a 6-2 team who has got this great young quarterback and a good defense and a good young coach. None of it matters. Look at this, Donnie. The Jets won by 8 and had a touchdown that they should have had taken off the board.
Yeah.
So they should have won by even
Correct.
more, right?
Yes.
Houston was dreadful. And the
Yeah.
truth is, Houston has not looked good really at any level this year. They're ravaged with injuries. CJ Stroud has looked kind of lost at times. You got to give the Jets credit, but we saw it last week with that Ram game. We saw it this week. These standalone games, you can kind of just print whatever you want with it.
Yep. Back-to-back weeks there shows up. Thursday Night Football is such a tough thing to do, especially, Jeff, when you're going on the road in that short circumstance and banged up. Jets won. Now, let me answer this, though. What do you think about the Jets moving forward? For me, I'm completely out on the Jets. Like, I don't think they're going to do anything. Week-to-week basis, maybe bet them, prop bet you're winning in a decent spot. But do you think they make the playoffs this year?
No, I mean, it was just one of those things where, like, it was a good spot and I backed them. I mean, they didn't look overly impressive. They still seem like a really dumb football team. A lot of mistakes made. I mean, you look at, little things like on a 4th and 16, roughing the kicker or whatever it was. Like, you can't have that. You can't do those sorts of things and expect to win. They'll take it. It's a nice fourth quarter they had. Aaron Rodgers at times still looked kind of lost, but maybe he's starting to get a little connection with Devontae Adams again. They were outgained by like 30 yards. They weren't great overall. Penalties, 9 for 83, had a fumble. But yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. It's one game at a time.
Yeah. Shout out to the chat box out here, having some fun. Mammoth's in here. James S., Chris Warren, our guy, Chris Brady. Of course, Mammoth, Leg Show Magazine. Steve Murin. Thanks for you guys checking in here, listening to Donnie Rightside and the big man on campus right here on Sports Grid Radio. Sunday NFL action. Jeff's an Eagles fan. I'm an Eagles fan. The Jacksonville Jaguars come to Philadelphia. The Kelly Greens are out there, Jeff. 7.5 as a number, as a favorite for the Eagles. White flag Jacksonville Jaguars team, 45.5. Are we buying back in on the Eagles? Like the way they looked last week, do they continue this week against another team that they should beat?
Yeah, I think as a fan, you're just looking for consistency, right? And they've developed the last couple of weeks back at home here. You got Doug Peterson coming back. Really hasn't done anything since he left here, quite honestly. Hopefully he gets a standing O, a little happiness in his life for once. He's not had a lot recently. My whole thing is, I know the offense will move the ball. I mean, you look at the fact that they didn't score in the first quarter last week and still put up, 37? Probably should have got 40s due to that Will Shipley touchdown being taken off the board. The offense is fine. Can the defense consistently get stops? And Donnie, you look at how they defend. They play 12 yards off every receiver, and they'll allow yards. They just hope that they don't score touchdowns. And you look, they're top 10 in opponent red zone touchdown percentage. That's, I think, the goal. This is about where I had the number. I think the Eagles are going to be priced at this price a lot of the time with these types of teams. Yeah, it's hard to go against them right now. They're playing really well on both sides, but this is the kind of opponent where this team has taken lightly over the years. Why is this game at 4:05, by the way? What's that all about? Seems pretty odd.
They were the night game, Jeff, initially. They got bumped out of that 8 o'clock period, so they just shifted them back to 4 o'clock. Yeah, so that's
I didn't even know that.
Usually, why don't they just shift them to 1 o'clock? Because Jacksonville's terrible at this point, so I guess there wasn't enough in the window at 4 o'clock where they just had to leave them in there. as opposed to just 3 total games. So they bumped them back there. Jeff, Miami-Buffalo this weekend, 1 o'clock kickoff, 5.5 opening number. FanDuel still 5.5, 6s across the board. Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins lost a game against a, feisty, I guess you could say, Cardinals team. I really like Buffalo this year. It's not a trap line per se, but I am kind of annoyed that that's 5.5 and 6. I almost think it should be around 7. Are you a buyer on Miami with Tua back, or are you on Buffalo? How do you feel about these two teams and this game?
I think it's a hard ask to bet Miami really at any level. I mean, I have no belief that play that Tua Tagovailoa is going to be in the game and the drop off there. Look, I don't know if it's that better. I mean, they'll move the ball with him and it's helpful for like an over. I don't know if Buffalo is great in the secondary. I think you could probably move the ball against them, but I have no trust that the Dolphins can win a game. That said, I mean, you're getting nearly a touchdown, but you're not getting enticed really to bet Miami just because of the number. If I'm going to get involved here, it's got to be 7.5 or more. I just want that coverage of having a touchdown. It is a divisional game. We know divisional games can be crazy. I think for what it's worth, Donnie, Miami, as far as I said, I mean, they've actually been all right defensively. I mean, you got to give them a little credit there. Yeah. The offense has been putrid, though. I don't know if I trust it. It's kind of just a lukewarm game to me.
We'll get one real quick before we hit the break. Denver and Baltimore. Heavy line was 9.5 down to 8.5. Lamar Jackson hasn't practiced much this week. Still should be able to give it a go on Sunday. Is that too many points for Denver, who's playing better football, Jeff? Or is this one of those lines that you go, boy, that's screaming Baltimore. You better get in there.
I had the Browns last week. I thought that was the screamer for me. This one doesn't really strike as much to me. Denver is much improved. Their quarterback plays better. They have a good defense. Can they stop the run? They're actually pretty good against the run. I'm sure we'll hit it on the other side.
Yes, we will. One more segment to go on a Football Friday. Join us right back here on Moneyline.
SportsGrid is committed to bringing you sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
We're not doing this for our health.
This is our job. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Morency on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Football Full Circle.
Are you backing Gardner Minshew? This team has covered 2 straight against L.A. and last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, catching 9.5. I lean to the Bengals.
I can't back the Bengals anymore. There's just something rotten to the core. Guys are more concerned about their paychecks than they are winning football games, whether it's Higgins, whether it's Chase.
It's Football Full Circle with Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network.
We're here 7 days a week,
giving you the actionable insights and expert perspectives you need to win.
And here's more good news.
It's free. So stay tuned and get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
I got to ask about the game of the day Sunday, Jeff. 4:25 p.m. Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers. I'm so high on the Lions this year. I love the Lions. This line opened up as a favorite towards Green Bay, but as we know, quarterback injury and Jordan Love. Does he play? Does he not play? Detroit's a favorite here. Roughly 2.5 across the board. Any thoughts, Jeff? Detroit, Green Bay? I love Detroit this season. I really do.
Yeah, they're great. They seem kind of just unwavered. They find ways to win. They've had things that happen. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson, but they're finding ways to get the job done. With the backup or with the injury to Jordan Love, obviously I can't run the bet Green Bay. I think it's kind of the line's telling us we have no idea what's going to happen here. And again, look, this league, as you know, it's all about foreshadowing, getting
Yes.
some info, and the info may not even matter because it's already been figured in. It's a stay away. Look, if Jordan Love plays, and you're getting this type of number, obviously you lean with the divisional home dog. But again, I'm pretty lukewarm on it until I know more. Unless you can find some, info that you get from the trainer or something. But that's not happening much anymore. This price, I lean Detroit. You're right. They've just kind of found ways. But Green Bay is 6-2. They're not,
Yes.
3-5. So.
Good team. And they've been doing it a little bit there with a backup quarterback, so it's a complete team over here. Chris Beatty says the Bills team total is pretty high, 27.5 juice, minus 130 to the over. Books expecting some points from them. Chris Warren, I love the Lions too. You guys know they are my Super Bowl matchup, the Lions and the Chiefs. I just think this week will be the Packers will win. How about that? So a lot of people chatting in here on the chat box as we get in. Go ahead. What do you got?
If this is who would it be? Malik Willis, that's the backup.
Yes. Yeah.
Wouldn't this line be going up? Why is it going down? Like, what's that all about?
Well, because Jordan Love got in a full practice yesterday, or did a lot, and he's expected to go again today. So you're almost in that limbo right now where I don't think they know what to do, because if you say Sunday morning about Jordan Love goes, yeah, man, I feel unbelievable today, that's going to shift that line, because we were asked this question multiple times this week. Like, if it's Detroit and Green Bay and both teams are healthy, that game's probably a pick 'em. It's not a 2.5 or 3 towards Detroit. It's not a 1. I think it's around a pick 'em.
But it's still undecided, and he's questionable that he will be playing and effective. I don't know. I feel like the number would just stay at 3. The fact that I think the Packers win for some reason.
Yeah.
And what are we hearing, Donnie? I mean, look, I respect your opinion a lot.
Yes.
But again, most people, Detroit's a Super Bowl favorite, and they probably are.
I love it.
But they're not going to. I mean, the Minnesota's had a skid. I mean, the Lions are going to have an issue at some point in some game.
They have, Jeff, they have one of the tougher, since they play in that division. I think they're like a top 3 schedule left in the NFL, which doesn't surprise. So they're going to get bumps and bruises, which is when we talk about like the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, why are they favorites? They're going to be home field advantage in Kansas City when the playoff comes here at that point. So that certainly gives you a big, opportunity.
I'll tell you what,
seize the day. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'm kind of at the point. I think the Falcons, man. This Cowboys group look lost. I mean, they
I was going to
are
ask you that next there. Yeah, tell me about the Cowboys and they're moving forward at this point, because they're getting 3 to 3.5 depending where you're shopping at this week.
Yeah, I just don't think they're very good. I think their defense is just a disaster. I mean, they've given up 77 points over the last 2 games. They came out of their bye week, gave up 30 against San Francisco. I'm looking Brock Purdy at times does not look real good. Who the hell do they even have in that lineup? And they kind of did whatever they wanted. The Cowboys are just kind of lost right now. Now you got to go on the road, take on a kind of an upstart Atlanta team. We know Kirk Cousins can move the ball. That defense is kind of undervalued a little bit. I mean, Donnie, the Cowboys are giving up nearly 29 points a game. I mean, they're just wretched right now. I mean, can they respond and just go on the road and take care of business? This line's kind of shading to seems like I got to take the Cowboys. Getting 3.5 against Atlanta, they'll bounce back. Maybe they're just not good.
Brutal. That team is brutal, man. They really are. Jameis Winston going to start this weekend against the Chargers. I mean, injected life into that franchise, knocking off the Ravens last week outright was absolutely, certainly impressive. Daniels takes the circus on the road after an unbelievable Hail Mary to get a victory last week against the New York Giants. They're favored 3.5, 4 points in that game with still Daniel Jones. By the way, Jeff, any buying points here on the Rams for you moving forward? Is there any chance for you? Or, by the way, Puka Nacua, if anybody didn't hear, struggling with that knee injury, left practice yesterday with that knee injury. They'll get more details on it today. Kid such a good player, can't stay healthy, man.
Yeah, that's the knock on certain players.
Yeah.
If you're not on the field, you can't help, right?
No.
But again, as you said, buying them, they're finally healthy. Stafford still looks like a great quarterback. Kyron Williams has been good for them. I think you have to buy it, but now you have an injury. Browns, I'll be back on them this week. I've backed the Browns a lot. I backed them before Jameis Winston, and now that Jameis is back, I'll back them again. Are the Chargers now? Are you ready? Are you ready to lay points on the road with them? Going to the East Coast. It's a 1:00 start. Browns defense is playing pretty well. Can the Chargers sustain this defensive stuff? I mean, they just continue to just be like a shutout defense.
Yeah. Hashtag save Nadu out here in the streets, people. Let's get that Twitter account
Just
back.
to clarify, we're not saying the winning edge will help you win the lottery.
But if it ever does, aren't you glad you're already